I'm particularly proud and happy about the young filmmakers, actors, singers, writers, producers that are coming up behind my generation. In particular, Barry Jenkins. Young people understand this young man made 10, 15, 20 short films before he got the opportunity to make Moonlight. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, Pete Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk TV Media Network. This is Talk TV Business Today. Talk TV Media Network, located here in the city of Tulsa, Green Country, Oklahoma. And I have with me a very special studio guest who is a friend and a businessman. So there is a lot you guys going to be hearing today from us, and we'll open the lines for you guys to contribute and ask questions if you need to. At Talk TV Media Network, I always tell our audience we are the voice for the voiceless. And we are also not just the voice for the voiceless, but we go places where others do not go. So wherever you are joining us from Africa, here in the US, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, we'd like you to be with us because business is what we do. It's very fascinating and it's very interesting. Because there are very, very good questions some of us will want to share with you and ideas, especially people who want to start business or get into business. With no further delay, I would like to invite my friend. Welcome, man. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm actually really happy to be here. This is something that's new for me. So I'm happy to be here helping those, like you said, that are hoping to start their own business or improve what they have currently. So I think that's fantastic.
So Michael, there is no better way to introduce someone but himself. Who is Michael? Tell us. Tell our viewers, our people. Who's Michael?
So I am actually born and raised Texan. So I love being here in Green Country, Oklahoma.
You were Texan? What are you doing in Oklahoma, man?
So I went to the military after high school. I was a Marine Corps.
Okay.
Once I got out of the Marine Corps.
Did you say Marine Corps?
Mm-hmm.
You're a vet?
Yes.
Okay.
So after I got out of the Marine Corps, I followed a woman to Arkansas. And as most of us do.
Right.
And I studied electrical engineering there for a while at the University of Arkansas. I ended up, unfortunately, that relationship didn't last, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But I did meet my current wife, Stephanie, there. She got a job here in Tulsa. At that point, I was actually working for the company I own a business for now. And moved over here to pursue my dream of being a business owner because she got a job here working for a accounting firm downtown.
Right.
And I mean, the rest is history. That's what brought me here to Oklahoma.
Wow, that's amazing. So basically, you moved to Oklahoma for career and God find a path for you to meet a young woman, and today you're married.
Yes, married. Yes.
And you've been doing business.
I always told myself I wanted to be a business owner.
Wow.
I just had no idea how. So
you didn't know how.
I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't know what route I was going to pursue. But much like yourself, I knew from an early age that I did not want to be working for people my whole life.
What do you do? What do you tell our audience? What do you do?
So I own a state farm agency. I've been doing that for the last couple of years. My next step is going to be commercial property is the next goal. I'm also trying to find other business ventures that I can get into. Mm-hmm. It's honestly just finding something that I can fill a void in. I mean, the insurance realm was something I got into because I found out I was really good at it.
Right.
And so it made it very easy to have a natural transition to that. But of course, being good at something and then being a good business owner was a giant wake up call. So for me, going into that next step, commercial real estate is one thing, but trying to start a separate actual business is something that's a whole different thing, as you and I know. So trying to find a different alternative, something I can do as a second business venture, is something that's always on my mind. So
you've always done business, and you always had your mindset on business. You always felt within yourself that you wanted to be your own boss. You just didn't want to work for anybody, but being your own boss.
Yeah, I mean, I think most of that stems from growing up. I grew up in a fairly poor area of McKinney, Texas. My parents did a pretty good job. I mean, they did a great job of raising me, but as far as from a working perspective, most of my childhood was spent with either one of my parents being laid off due to outsourcing, things like that. A lot of times it was stuff outside of their control, but either of my parents were always out of a job. The other person was in a job, out of the job. And it just was this cycle that they could never quite get on their feet. And I guess that's a huge piece of it, is because I found, hey, like, as long as I'm working for somebody, I never have a secure job. And so the only way to really mitigate that is you got to work for yourself. You got to make your own money, and you got to be the person that gives yourself the job security, because you can't count on anybody else.
So having said that, tell us, what do you do, or what do you say to someone who is sitting out there on the couch, or in their chair, or somewhere in their vehicles, thinking about an idea? Or so many of them have thought of ideas and stuff, and they are thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I have this awesome idea. What do you say to people like that?
That's a very good question. I can tell you that whenever I decided to go the State Farm agent route, I was working as a team member for an agent.
Right.
Found out I was good at the sales aspect.
Yeah.
Whenever I decided to make the route and the change to do that, it was just a mental shift. I didn't have the money. I didn't have anything like that. But what I can tell you is I saw the opportunity present itself. And the opportunity present itself in the way that a lot of business ideas do. Hey, I'm really good at this. This is something I could do, but I have neither the means nor the capital to do it. So my advice to anybody and everybody is the best place to start is to self-educate yourself.
So there are two things I'm hearing from there. You didn't have capital.
No.
To start, but you had an idea. You just had a feeling, that passion, that something is there for you, and being able to find yourself in the right place. You know how to go about doing that. But with no capital, because a lot of people are out there, they want to find out, I want to start a business. I have an idea, but I don't have money. No capital. Some probably go to the extent where they want to go get into loans, to, starting a business, which normally I don't advise people to do that. But what do you say? Where were you in a position in life with no capital to move beyond that stage?
So a big piece of it is education. So day one, when I decided to make that shift, I didn't know where to start. So the first thing I did is I grabbed a book. I grabbed a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell.
Wow.
Because I knew that leadership was going to be a big piece of it. I knew that if I'm going to be a State Farm agent, I don't want to be doing everything myself. To scale it, I would need people. I knew how to sell myself.
Right.
And I knew that if I didn't have the capital to do what I needed to do, I was going to need to click right off the bat. If I'm going to push this, I need to know how to get a team off the ground quickly. So reading was a big piece for me. As far as from a capital perspective, to your point, I don't advise loans either. However, for some people, loans are a necessary evil if they are trying to venture into a business that requires brick and mortar building or a lot of upfront assets. But before anybody ever touches a loan or even thinks about it, you should first have information. Like I said, you have to educate yourself. You have to educate yourself to the fullest extent possible,
right,
to fully form an idea, put it on a business plan. That business plan should incorporate you going to other experts in that field. People have been there, people that have done that.
Yeah.
That can give you insights on how they did it. I'm not talking just us here, like us talking.
Successful people.
Go to
people
successful
who've been
people
there, done that.
Yes, that were in that industry, that are willing to impart advice. Because you and I both know that most self-made successful people are more than happy to share that info.
Yeah.
But what people that don't have capital realize is exactly that. That, believe it or not, successful people are more than welcome to share and impart that advice, as long as they can see that you have the drive to make something happen with that advice. Don't go to people and ask for advice if you have no plan on using it.
Right.
Use it. Compile that information, read, put a fully formed thought and plan into action, and then, only then, can you decide, I can make this happen. If you have the capital, if you can sum up the capital, great. If you need a loan, do it. But the only time a loan is okay, in my opinion, is if you have, like I did. I had a 60-page business plan pulled together on exactly how I was going to market to people, how I was going to run my business.
So you advise, because I've heard this acronym around many times, OPM, other people's money. Most people want to do that. Oh, I can use OPM, other people's money, which I am a little bit hesitant as well, because if without not doing so much research, like you just talked about, to self-educate yourself and follow people and for advice, people who are in business or have been successful in business, and you just go for other people's money. And other people's money is nothing but loan. There are grants out there. If you are running certain business like nonprofits and stuff like that, where there are grants, that's okay, because you don't have to repay.
Yes.
Right? But loans where you have to repay, you have to be very cautious.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
Yes. No, you always want to be cautious of the loans. But the fact of the matter is, too, is loans are a fantastic vehicle to use as long as you're only buying assets with them. You never take money out that you're going to use to buy liabilities. So when you're educating yourself, you're building a business plan, you're doing these things before you ever consider jumping off the ground with a business idea. That's how you leverage loans. Is you would see how much money you need, how you're going to allocate it. You're going to have a payback plan before you ever decide to even look at the loan. Hey, I'm taking some money out. This is with this, and this, what I would do. You should have an idea of how much income you're going to derive. And the thing about a business plan is, if you're not educated enough to be able to put it into a definitive plan on how much income you're going to bring in, how quickly you're going to pay that money back, and how quickly you're going to be able to break a profit, then there's no point in starting that business. Because if you go in blind.
So that's excellent. Take me back to the ABCs of business. I have this idea. I want to run a business, and I want to start something. One way or the other, how do I handle the legal part of it? Like here in the state of Oklahoma, right? We want to say, if you're starting a business, you want to make it legal, right? Yeah. So you have to register it with the Secretary of State. And it is in almost all the states in the US. And I would say, being an international guy, traveler, the same thing applies to most countries. Once you're starting a legitimate business, you want to make sure it's legit, it's legal.
Yes. Right.
Registration, all of that process. If you don't understand, getting a legal practitioner or lawyer, someone that can help you in that area, walk us through.
Yeah. So, granted, I probably was more fortunate than most in that situation, because being an industry that I'm in, of course, when I was in insurance, you deal with a large variety of people, because it's an industry that pretty much everybody deals with on a regular basis. It's required by law. Right. One of my really close friends had started her own CPA firm. And so I recommend that to a lot of people, because what a lot of people don't realize is CPAs are actually there to help make sure your business is legitimate financially. So a lot of times they're a great resource for somebody that is wanting to find the correct forms, get them submitted. She showed me where I needed to go. She actually printed off the registration forms for me. I filled them out. She registered for my business for me personally, because she was a long-term customer of mine. But that being said, you don't have to incorporate lawyers. Most people automatically jump to, if it's anything legal, you need to go spend a bunch of money for a lawyer, do things like that. No, if you're going to start a business, you're going to need to run your books. You're going to need to budget. You're going to need to figure out how that's working. Go to a CPA. Most CPAs are more than happy to help you legitimize your business for free. because they know that they're going to get the business
Right.
from them running your books.
Right.
So most of the time they're
So
going to
you
do it for
recommend
free.
a CPA is very, very key, very, very important
Yes.
to starting a business.
Yes.
We will be opening the lines pretty early while we continue the conversations, and any call comes in, we're just gonna roll with that and take it and continue our conversations. So those of you who are listening, our callers out there in Radio Land, we are broadcasting right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and the website as well. So you can call in. The number is right there on the screen to ask your questions or give us your input. We'd love to hear from you. Whatever you have, whatever question you have to my studio guest, Micah, we'll try to give you an answer. If we don't, we'll research it because we are still learning too, in business. Oh, here we go. Probably have a call on the line as well. Hello, caller. Hello. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yes. I'm calling in. I've been watching your show for a few minutes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Tulsa.
Yeah, what's your question?
I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment. First of all, to your guest, thank you for sharing what you said about always wanting to start a business but not knowing how. I think a lot of people are in that same predicament, feeling like they want to do something in the business world but not really understanding how to break through into that. I was listening to something the other day, and they were saying how a lot of times in the United States, children and young adults, they're always told what to do. Everything is always, you do this, you do that. But they never have the opportunity really to figure out, hey, this is what I want to do, or this is what I like to do.
Yeah.
So I guess my question would be to you, what would be something that you might recommend for someone who's wanting to start a business, but they just really don't know even where to begin to get into that vein of, oh, I'm gonna work for myself now, but what do I do?
That's a really good question. And one of the easiest places to start is this is an interview question I ask almost everybody on my team, is I ask them, what are you passionate about? Because that's usually almost always a good place to start, because when you answer that question, if you answer it truthfully and honestly, you can usually find some pretty good places in that answer from an industry perspective. So for me, when I talked about what I'm passionate about, I very much love talking with people. I love being able to actively help people, especially improve finances. It's something that I worked really hard on as a kid. And so when I asked myself, hey, what am I passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
It was being able to meet a lot of people from a large variety of places and ask questions. I've always been an inquisitive person. So asking people, hey, how'd you do what you do? And kind of learning from people in that perspective. And I didn't realize that would correlate to insurance until I was working for an insurance agency.
Deshaun, is that all the questions you have or comments, so we can free the line for all the callers?
No, that was my only question. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for calling in. You have a great day.
You too.
That is very, very key, because I remember as a kid growing up, I grew up in a Christian home, but a lot of my family members are business people. So I learned a lot, especially two people that struck a chord to my upbringing was two of my uncles. They both are now deceased, but I learned a lot from them growing up because they were business people, and staying with them, growing up with them. So, and another cousin of mine too, that I had the opportunity to live with in Africa, stay with, he's deceased as well. But these were business people. They impacted so much in my life, and that kind of transfer on me, right? Yes. And I could see the luxury of being your own boss, planning your own schedule, time. You make your own time, even though there are challenges. Yes. Being an entrepreneur, Because if you don't make it work, it's not going to work.
Yes.
You are the one who has to make it work. What do you have to say to those little children that she just mentioned about, little boys growing up who have those dreams and desires and goals of becoming, their own bosses? How can you stir them, mentor them in the right direction? Because there's a lot of bad business out there.
There is. So, and that's such a good question again. Really, when it comes to somebody that wants to do something more, they like, especially in people that aren't in your situation, people that weren't raised in those situations. It's one of those that, and this is going to sound really cliche when I say this, but really and truly, if you want something bad enough and it becomes the sole focus in your mind, then the resources tend to gravitate towards you. It's a very true statement. I never believed in that early on in my career. But especially after reading some of the really good Napoleon Hill books, Think and Grow Rich, The Laws of Success, things like that, it's important to really understand that if you make something a sole focus, if you want to improve yourself, you want to be your own business owner, you don't want to be stuck in that day-to-day of working for somebody, especially the little kids in life, just dream big. Because if you have a big dream and you have a big focus, then when you talk to people like you or myself, I'm going to give you the world when it comes to the information that I have, because I can see that you have that passion. When somebody comes up to me, you can tell if they don't have passion and that's not really their focus, But when somebody really, you can tell like that they've been thinking about this, that they've been hoping, dreaming for an opportunity. Like you can see it in their face.
I normally tell people that God didn't make man that man should rule man. God made man for man to be their own boss. So another area where I challenge people a lot is start with what you have, because there's a scripture that always sticks out to me in the Bible that talks about, Moses, the rod in Moses' hands and stuff. Moses he had no clue what that rod was, what it could do, the capability of that rod, until God asked him, Moses, what is that in your hand? And he's like, a rod, just a stick, God. It's just a rod, it's a stick. And then God said, put it down. Dropped it down and it turns into a snake. And he said, go pick it up. And picked it up, turns back into a rod. Then he was like, whoa. So I normally challenge people that want to start in business or begin something. What is it that's in your hand? Because sometimes we lose sight. God is saying, I've already given you everything. It's all around you already. But we have the tendency of looking beyond what we have and looking at the next man, looking at the next other person. I want to be like that person. I want to be like that. But God is saying, you already have something in your hand. What are you doing with it? Because he's a God of accountability. He holds us accountable for everything that he's entrusted us with, right? So God has given you an idea. He has given you a gift. He's given you a passion for something. What are you doing with it to even refine it? That educational part plays that role in it. Are you and your I would say those you hang around as well. Your company plays another role. Because if you're hanging around people who are not going nowhere, who are just with a remote all day in their hand, what do you expect? I always tell people, show me your friends and I will tell you where you're heading with your life, right? But if you hang around people who are productive, who are, doing well, it's going to rub on you. You're going to be challenged to do something. What's your take?
I think that you couldn't have said that better. I like I can't remember the guy that the quote is from, but he does like the way he phrased it is the same thing. It's like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. It's like the people you hang around with. That's what I mentioned earlier. It's like one of those that if you dream big enough, if you have a big dream, then you'll understand the type of people you're hanging out with. If they don't match your dreams and aspirations, you're in the wrong crowd.
Right.
And what you mentioned about the individual skill sets, I think all too often, and this took me since I opened my business. It wasn't until recently that I really figured out something.
Oh, we have a caller coming in. We're going to interrupt it.
You're good. You're good.
Hello, caller.
Yeah, hello. Makunaka speaking from Africa, Liberia.
Oh,
Wow. Okay. Welcome, Kumar.
Nice.
What's your question?
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I'm getting you.
Yeah. What is your
Yes.
question? You say you're calling from Liberia?
Yes.
nice.
What's your question?
Yeah, my question here is, how you talking about having passion to do business, right? Or you having a passion to do something? Is I have a passion to do business, but it's like I'm doing this business, but I'm not moving forward. I'm just to the same place running around. It's just a cycle, not going forward, just to the same place. How can I move forward to grow my business?
Is that all you have to ask our guest?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
That's
Thank you. Thank you very much for calling in.
yeah. I was gonna
Did
say
you understand that?
I did.
Okay.
So that's actually something I've encountered personally, and it's something that it's a business cycle. Obviously, the business cycle is the same thing
Mhm.
as our economic cycle. You have troughs, you have increases, you have plateaus, and you have declines, right?
Right.
It's the same thing in any business. The difference is you have to look at your business and be like, okay, how am I going to scale this? No business can have growth without having a method to scale it. For me, that's hiring employees that I can then teach how to market, how to sell the way that I do, how to talk to people the way that I do, how to have those types of conversations. So really any business you have, period, it can be a service industry, it could be a lawn care business.
Mhm.
It could be any business you have, there is a way to scale it. So honestly, without knowing a little bit more about your business, I can't give you details or anything like that. But long story short, you have to be able to say, hey, what am I doing? What do I bring to this business? What are my skill sets? And then if you have weaknesses, you shore up those weaknesses
Right.
by hiring people that can fill those weaknesses and then can take some of your strengths and go out and help further your business.
But more or less, let me bring you a little bit back to our question. Being in a small third world country,
Yes.
like Liberia, someone has just literally like this table that we own. This is all their business, like goods, selling merchandise and stuff like that, or doing something, but it's not working for them because they just keep finding themselves like in a circle. It's like, from hand to mouth.
Yes.
Kind of stuff.
Yes.
And not moving beyond that. Even though they have a desire, they have a passion to move beyond that, but they see themselves in a vicious circle, not getting past the table market to a storefront to this big, and sometimes I know that's a question for you, but I want to elaborate on it a little bit too, because I have a very good understanding of the culture,
Yes.
the way it is. And a lot of people get into business because that's the only source of income. And there are no jobs. Government is not providing jobs. If you do go and find a job out there, government is not paying, it's paying maybe 4 or 5 months late. And how do you expect to take care of your family or feed yourself with such a responsibility depending on government? I feel like every little thing that we do, that business that you're doing, God is in it. Management is required. Accountability is required. Because if you're making a little bit of profit, something from every business, put something aside.
Yes.
As a rainy day, something aside that you do not touch. And then something that way help the upkeep of the business, right? But if you eat everything, you make a little bit of profit today, you eat all. You make a little bit of profit, you eat all. You find yourself going in that circle, right? And loans as well. They do small micro loans in Africa, which sometimes I don't advise people in making those loans as well, getting into a lot of loans because your business is not that big. And the tendency of going bankrupt very high.
Yes.
Because and once you eat the bank's money or the macro loan, whoever loans you, then you're running away, giving excuses because you're finding it very difficult to pay. So it goes down to me with that thing, that passion God has given you that's in your hand, that idea, to start with it. Start with it and manage it well, because even if it is little and God is in it, you can grow it up by managing it well, slowly, gradually, because it's better for you to walk your way up than starting up there and then you drop.
The bottom up approach for business is huge because it's one of those that for me, I'm in a perfect example because it's one of those that I started by hiring a larger staff, and because I knew that would be what I need to do first.
Right.
So to your point, without me knowing again exactly what you're doing, the best way, like Sam said, from the business perspective, is if you are in a vicious cycle, any business again should be cyclical. So if you find yourself in a constant just recession trough, small incline, but falling right back, and you never hit a peak where you're making profits that you can set aside, then usually that means that there's some aspect of the business that could be better managed. And I know that sounds harsh to say, but that stands for me. That stands for Sam. That stands for a lot of business owners. I'm not perfect at it. I know for a fact that there's places I could shore up more efficiently, but it's finding that and being like, okay, what are the main functions of this business? What is the product I'm bringing to the table? And what's the minimum I need to accomplish that goal?
Oh, that is so key. That is so key. You just struck a very key point. Product.
Yes.
What is it that you're bringing on the table that is competitive?
Yes.
That is not out there, because that's another way to find a breakthrough in your business. You have to think of an idea of something that it's not everyone is out there doing it. You stand a very low chance of moving forward in that. But you think very hard. Like few people are doing it out there, or no one is doing it at all. Then it becomes a business that would thrive, that would do excellently and well. You know, even because that applies even here, right? I've been in business for over 15 years.
Yes.
Just here in this country, not having to work for anybody. I know. And it takes a lot of dedication, commitment.
Yes.
Not, like you wake up morning, you're planning it. You're an entrepreneur, a business person. While others are sleeping, you are up. Because it's like a new baby.
It is, yes.
Right? That's kind of how it looks. A new baby wakes up any time of the night to wake. And once the baby is up, you're going to wake up, mama.
I mean, you're not kidding. It's one of those, I remember, especially for the first couple of years, I had a little notebook that I set on my nightstand. Right. I would think about, I would just randomly catch an idea in the middle of the night or like towards the evening. I'd wake up, write it down, and the next day I would elaborate on it. Because one thing I really like that we talked about, and that's a good tangent to be on, is especially in Liberia, but I mean, especially here in America, there's very few ideas that are new now, unless you're in like the technology industry, something like that. But the fact of the matter is if you're bringing a service to the table like you and I do, the important aspect is how can we bring that service to the market differently and better than other people? That's where the creative ideas
differently and better.
And what's hard about that here is you have to be really creative because there are so many other people doing the same thing.
Right.
So how do we do it better than somebody else?
Than the others.
And I think that's huge in Liberia too, is the fact that you have to be able to say, hey.
Wow. We have a caller calling in. Oh, that's not the studio caller. That's something else. So doing it better, knowing the market, that we are in, and doing it a whole lot at a better level, different from others. Like I'm not shy to tell people I run a lawn service. What makes me different? There are a lot of other lawn service companies here in the city, right? But what makes me different? And where is my market? Where's my niche? What do I want to do? Do I want to do residential lawn care, or do I want to do commercial, right? So you weigh all those options and decide where you want to go,
Mhm.
and what is it that's going to make you stand out from the competition? Dedication, service, giving it to the T, that when someone sees it, like, who did that yard?
Yes.
That's what's going to get. So you design all of that, and that applies to, especially you being in the insurance industry. That's a lot, a huge market that brings a lot of competition on the table.
It is, and one of the big ones is, especially, and you've been with me for a while as a customer. One of the things with that being said is you got to understand that when you're dealing with that many people, and especially in my industry, it's almost like a financial planner. People that are dealing with, it's not just a one-off occurrence.
Right.
I'm dealing with people on a monthly basis. Finances are flowing through. Things change. People add and do different things to their insurance, and so mistakes are going to happen.
Right.
So it's one of those that, especially and to kind of circle back to answer your question on how you stop getting out of that rut, a big piece is customer feedback. If a mistake occurs, the big piece is you got to be able to apologize for it. You got to be able to say, hey, like, this happened, I'm sorry. And then you got to make sure it doesn't happen again. I was like, customer feedback is probably the most important thing for business, because if you're not getting feedback from your customers,
Right.
if a problem occurs, if maybe something you're trying to bring to the table isn't quite where they want it to be, then you have to be able to make those decisions on the fly. Those revisions need to be made in real time. You need to be implementing them. It can't take you 6 months to pull it together and make a change.
You remind me of something when I used to work for Sam's Club. In our morning meetings, they always used to say the customer is always right, right? And that kind of used to play in my head, like, what? Customer's always right. But working with a company for years, I realized, yeah, because it is the customer that gets you going. Without a customer walking into your store, without a customer buying your product, how can you make business? How can you get business going? So the customer, your treatment to the customer, that is something sad to say, but I'm gonna say this, especially in Liberia, where I'm from, that part is missing, customer service. Because you're gonna go ask for someone on a table, and how much is this item? They're like, it's $50. And you the customer, make a comment. How come you're selling it $50 and someone over there selling it $40? Now it is your job now to convince me to buy the item, but they're gonna make this sarcastic comment and say, but why can't you go buy that? So you just lose money, you just lose that customer, right? Then I realized customer service here is poor. It's the same thing. I have to convince you to buy my product. I have to talk nice to you. I have to tell you why you need it or why you want it.
Yeah.
Right?
And then fill that void of
yes,
the customer service. Like, is your industry something that you need to be accessible frequently? Is it something that you need to be responsive to? And so to your point, yeah, I mean, like, that's most industries. Some industries, not so much.
Right.
But for me, I could have somebody that has a claim. I could have somebody that has a big issue. Like, you got to be able to be accessible on those. And it's the same thing for you. There's so many aspects of a business. And I mean, you could boil it down. We could spend a whole 24 hours.
Tell me this. What do you do when you start a business and you realize it's not doing good, or it's doing good, but you're at a point where you're not feeling it and you want to quit to get out?
Wanting to get out and quit, I look at that as, why did I get into it in the first place? If you got into it to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur, you better dang well have a backup plan to be your own business owner. If you want to get out, you need to have a second plan to be like, I'm going to go do this instead.
Right.
Because why be a business owner and then want to go back to working for somebody? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't understand that. But as far as, I guess the best way I could answer that question is experiences from me. Anytime I've been in a slump, the big thing for me is I know that I could do the job myself. So I always had the fallback of, hey, if I lose every one of my employees, I can manage the business myself for a period of time. But the fact of the matter is I know that's not scalable.
Right.
So if we start declining in the business, I have one of two questions I ask myself, or that I answer rather. Two questions I always ask myself, one of which is the right answer. Am I the problem, or is my team the problem? And whichever answer I get from that, it's how I approach fixing the business. If it's me, when I say, am I the problem? And I say yes, that means, hey, is the training where it needs to be? Do I have the right resources going to my team so they can accomplish the job? Am I paying them well so they're motivated? Do I have the right structures in place? Do I have the right incentives? All these things. Am I making the work-life balance good? Am I putting them in a place in an environment that makes them want to be productive? If I can say yes to all those things and I can't find a kink in that, then I know it's them. But if I can say yes, that there's something I can be doing better, that I can be giving back to the team, then I know that I'm the problem. And so you have to be able to ask yourself those things. And so that's how I usually fix problems when I'm in a slump.
So what has been your biggest challenge when it comes to business since you've started? You know, I can imagine coming from the military, guy like you, you know, and all your experiences out there being in the jungles, you know, messing around with the guns and stuff like that, you know, and here you are a vet, retired, and you're a business owner. What has been your biggest challenge?
You know, it's funny because in the military, you deal with like leading junior Marines and things like that. And you think that you know exactly what's going on. Do we have a caller? Oh,
No.
So I think the biggest challenge, honestly, has been the people management of it. I started the business not only to get myself out there helping more people, but I wanted to fill a void. Like, I think what people misconstrue my mission of helping people, they see it as I just want to help customers. But one of the biggest ones for me is I wanted to help employees too, because you do have people out there that maybe don't want to be their own business owner. They don't want that liability. But that doesn't mean they don't deserve to have a quality of work they wouldn't get anywhere else.
Right.
So that's honestly been the biggest challenge for me, is finding a balance of profitability to giving my team an environment that they won't ever be able to find anywhere else, like unlimited paid time off, health insurance paid, giving them a place where they can actually show up and be happy to show up to work every day.
Right.
That's expensive though.
It is.
So trying to find a balance of keeping them motivated where they're doing what they need to do and I'm profitable, to of course having the team that in the environment and stuff that I do. So that honestly be the hardest job, is the people management aspect of it. It's keeping a large team, accomplishing the task, but keeping that balance in check has honestly been the hardest deal.
Someone is asking, what was the name of the book that you mentioned earlier, the title of it, on leadership?
So there is
was it Maxwell? Something?
Yeah, John Maxwell. There's two books that he has that I really did like, but the main one that I've always stuck to, I give to my managers at my office, is The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell.
The name of the title of the book is The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. To you, our listeners, that's something you can read. And although there are other good sources out there that I read a lot to and listen to. I listen to Robert Kiyosaki a lot, and listen to Dave Ramsey, you know, a lot. He's a godly man. He talks business real, doesn't mess around. I mean, those guys, there's I listen to a lot of the spiritual part that blends in the practical as well with Miles Monroe as well. So there are a lot of books out there for you guys to research and listen to. We're going to take a quick break, and even if we do, we're just going to let you guys keep the lines open for you guys to call in. Comments below. If you like the show, we'd love to hear from you. Don't share the video on your platforms and other pages. We highly appreciate you guys, our listening audience, because without you, Talk TV Media Network won't be here. It is for you that we are here. Today is Talk TV Media Business. Today is the business show, and Friday comes the political part. where we talk politics. And it's going to be hot this coming weekend. And Saturday at 12 noon as well, we discuss sports, Talk TV sports. And Sunday, we talk about religion, Talk TV Media Network, religion, gospel as well on Sunday. So all these times, we'd love for you guys to join us, be a part of this show. We'd love to hear from you. The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You know, that's very interesting guide to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, you know, because that kind of helped me early on in starting business, you know, on a very much practical level, you know, the Poor Dad and the Rich Dad. Read those books. They're out there. If you can, go on YouTube. The audio is out there on YouTube, a lot of information. Because nowadays I'm more or less the audio kind of guy. I listen to more stuff than just reading, because sometimes, I will fall asleep reading, but I will stay awake listening.
See, I'm bad about that. I need the tactile feel. I need to see it. I need to do that.
Yeah. So we're gonna play a little bit of take a quick break. To you out there, our listeners. Before we come back, but in the same vein, just leave your comments.
A lot of good info. So during the break, you stay live? Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know. So
I'm still live. Hey,
I'm cool with that. So Robert Kiyosaki, I think, is fantastic. Didn't know you were a Dave Ramsey guy, though. I think he has a lot of really good practices. I grew up listening, like early on in business, I grew up listening to Dave Ramsey from a budgeting perspective, like how to manage money, things like that. I think there's a lot of good nuggets with what he says.
Okay, welcome. We're almost down to the wire, so we're not going to take much time playing music here. We have literally about 30 minutes for the show to be over. It's an hour show on Talk TV Media Network. We would love for you to call in. Ask your questions down there below, and we want to hear from you. Ask your questions. If you have questions, ask. And our guests in studio will read them. I'll read them to our listening audience. Today's Talk TV Media Network Business. And we'll have a lot of these shows coming up weekly for you guys to benefit. So many people out there want to do business, want to get into business, but is it your calling? Is this something you want to do? A lot of people got hit during this COVID-19. A lot of businesses shut down,
Yes, they do.
you know, and some people literally, a lot of businesses went bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, especially those who in business we call diversification, who didn't, diversify. Yes. What do you have to say when it comes to people like that? Because it's like putting all your eggs in one basket. And when you are hit, bam, everything goes. Because we experienced that during this COVID. What do you have to say with businesses like that got so hit? The next time if someone's trying, or those of us who are in business, what do you advise? Should we spread our wings or not?
So the thing with business is the business cycle exists, and there's obviously extraneous factors that can affect and impact the business cycle and put you in a point in the business cycle where it maybe sticks. So like you have something that causes a recession in your business cycle. eventually depression, just like we were in because of COVID in regards to certain businesses.
Right.
So a couple things that you have to do is if you do something really well, you need to make sure that you're still building processes around that because that's what you do well, but it's how you bring that to the market that needs to change. Because in a COVID-19 ability, if you rely on brick and mortar, it's not going to happen. Like that's why most of those places went under is because they require people in their building, in their facility, making it happen versus conducting business in a manner that doesn't require them face to face.
Right.
So I think that's huge. It's like stick to what you do well, but find a different way to implement it. So we talked about adapting earlier.
Yeah.
We had to be able, like, I know it sounds dumb, but I implemented a drive-through window at my office.
That's good.
So it's one of those where it's like implementing a drive-through window, people could come through and still see us, but we're over 6 feet apart through the drive-through window, sliding them like their forms and stuff like that. And then of course, just doing a lot more over the phone business. We had to restructure.
Thinking out of the box.
Like electronic signatures, doing a lot more stuff electronically. We redid our processes where we were making sure to onboard customers in a better digital platform, doing video calls instead of face-to-face meetings, things like that, bringing the same thing to the market just in a different way. And I think that's huge, is making sure that you still get that out there. Certain businesses didn't market themselves effectively digitally to get that service out there. Luckily, I didn't have to worry about that as much.
Right.
But that's just something you have to be able to be prepared for. The more things you're doing to get your business out there and the more adaptable you make yourself in your business,
right,
the better you're going to be.
Well, what about I got a request here for me to ask you about multi-level marketing. What do you think about? What's your opinion? What's your take on that? How do you view multi-level marketing? You know, all this pyramid marketing, multi-level marketing. What's your take on it?
So it definitely has its place, but let me preface this. I want to make sure that everybody understands me when I say this. There is an actual, what they call a pyramid scheme that doesn't exist so much in today's society. Everybody equates MLMs as pyramid schemes. The only way pyramid schemes work is if there's no way to pass somebody on the level above you. So if somebody brings you into the fold, let's say, of this business, you have to be able to produce more of a service to pass people on the scale. And that's when you know it is true MLMs. And MLMs, again, are great. They're usually a great way of bringing a product to the market through scaling. It's a great scaling business model, and I definitely think MLMs have their place. It is a great place to get into business to make additional capital. Now, however, personally, this is my belief, it takes a special kind of person to make that a large scale business from an MLM perspective. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. You're going to spend a lot of capital without a whole lot in return for a long period of time. And most of it is going to be time equity. It's going to be sweat equity, not so much monetary equity. You've got to spend a consistent amount of money, but you have to be able to bring that to the market very efficiently and very aggressively. So I think MLMs, again, have their place. They could be a phenomenal business model if that is your personality type and for a very specific person.
Because there are some people who are successful in it, but you got to know that is your area.
It has to
that
be.
You've got to have the passion for it. I try. It never worked out for me.
You've got to be able to talk. I was going to say, and you're an outgoing person, so that should say something to people. I was an outgoing person. I tried it when I was younger too. I've tried it before. You've tried it before. I'm an outgoing person, but to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not the type of person that if I'm bringing something like that to the market, I can't just see somebody as a stranger on the street, try and strike up a random conversation or hit somebody up via Facebook that I knew in high school and try and talk to them. You have to be able to do those things without remorse, without doubt. Like you have to be able to just, this is it.
Overly
confident. But I've always been just like how I've gotten to know you better. I'm more of an organic personality type. I don't shove my beliefs. I don't shove what I do on people. I just say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I want to make sure I'm getting taken care of. And I just let these things happen organically. And that's the way that I've known you to be. So again, answering the question, MLMs are great for the right person.
For the right people, person, if you have that personality. That's awesome, man. I'm liking the show, and time is always our biggest enemy.
Yes.
Here we are. We like down to the wire, almost like 6 minutes for us to be out of here. To you in our Radio Land. We love for you to contribute. We like those of you who has been contributing. We appreciate it. Without you, there's no way Talk TV Media will be here. We are the voice for the voiceless, and we go places where others do not go. That's Talk TV Media Network, and we are being watched in Liberia, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, website. The website is www.talktvmedia.com. You can visit us, leave your comments, and we'll respond to you in as soon as possible time. We're about to wrap up this 1 hour show. There's so much to talk about, man, and it's hard for us. 1 hour is nothing.
It's not. It's, this is a topic you could talk about for days because, I mean, between the two of us, we have 20, 25 years of experience to talk about from business ownership, and it's just not.
There's so much. And the only thing I would normally tell people is, if this is you, if this is your passion, if this is what you desire, seek the best counsel. I wouldn't go to someone who is not successful in business, who's not even, some people got degrees, biblical degrees, theological, whatever. But for me to seek advice, I'm very practical. I go to someone who is doing it and is good at it and is successful at it. That's what I would do. So I would advise you to do the same thing. I highly appreciate you coming, Micah. And this guy, he has an insurance company, and so many of you, if you have questions about insurance, all types of insurance, he does that: life, auto, home. I don't even know. I don't know why I'm talking for you, man. You need to talk for yourself.
Hey,
you need to tell the people what you do, man.
So seriously, not in just regards to insurance. You can come talk about business. You can talk to me about anything. But from an insurance perspective, I don't do so much of the day-to-day as much as I did in the past. But I do have a phenomenal team that myself and all of them are experienced in auto insurance, home insurance, business, small business insurance. We do mortgages. We do financial planning. We do life insurance is probably the biggest one. Leveraging
bringing a lot of money. See how big he is. He's getting pumped up all in the money.
So I mean, the biggest one, I think one of the ones we focus on the most, just for future reference for out there, is leveraging permanent life insurance as a retirement, as a potential investment tool, as both a life benefit and an investment tool down the road, as a potential like Roth alternative, things like that to help financial planning that people normally wouldn't have access to otherwise. So just things like that is really what we mainly focus on. So
thanks for coming, man.
Absolutely, I appreciate it.
I'm gonna. I don't think we did this topic justice, so I'm gonna find another time and get you back in here. And
would love to.
A lot of my other colleagues of mine who are entrepreneurs, business entrepreneurs in business, to you, our listening audience, thank you very much for being with us on this show. We'd love to for you to share our link, share our pages, our website to your respective platforms, because Talk TV Media is here to stay, not to go away. And it's been a beautiful show today at Talk TV Media Network. And someone is asking, what is his number? I don't know. Wow. You're getting a lot of hits going on over here, man. Call the number at Talk TV Media Network. And if you need his number, we'll just give you his number. Right now, I can't even write it up there. You have your office number?
Yeah.
What is it?
Office number is 918-600-2511.
918-600-2511. Okay. All right, man. You know you're gonna have to buy me lunch for selling you out.
I'm all about it.
Yeah. So to you, our listening audience, thank you for being with us, and we look forward to meeting with you tomorrow at 5 p.m. Talk TV Media Politics. We want to find out what's going on with the by-elections in Liberia, the results, and also there's the status of the recent killings of former two president's sons that just took place. Want to talk more about Joseph Mbwaka, the chairman for CPP visit to the United States. Is he still here? Want to talk about the President George Weah visit to France at the summit, whatever he discussed there, and what is it that he was doing and in the interest of the Liberian people, and so many issues to talk about. And because we are an independent network, we are here to make sure that we deal into the issues unbiasedly. We delve into the issues with no sides because we are an independent network. Until then, we hear from you and we'll talk to you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and you have a blessed and great day.